Hello everyone, welcome back to my second channel, welcome back to Jack in the Books. Let's start by acknowledging the elephant in the room. No, I did not attend the University of Colorado, nor have I ever been to Colorado. So there's that. These are all the books that I own. Literally everything. I have organised them all right here. These are all of the books that I've read. These right here are all the books that I haven't. And I've spent the last couple days meticulously organising them and setting them all up right here. And now I'm going to destroy it for your viewing entertainment. But basically the plan is to go through all of the books that I haven't yet read that are on my physical TBR. And this is going to be the first instalment of a 3-part trilogy, really, where in this video I'm going to just show you all of the books that I haven't yet read that are on my physical TBR. Then in a second video I'm going to put all of these on my TBR trolley and kind of decide which ones I want to read in the immediate future. And then thirdly, in an epic conclusion, I'm going to be unhauling a bunch of books. So some of these will be getting the chop. So without further ado, we've got quite a lot of books to get through, so I'm going to start telling you about them. Firstly, we have My Dark Vanessa. Not gonna lie, I actually have read 47 pages. I started reading this on the beach last week, but the pages started to fall out, so haven't yet finished that. Obviously, that's going to be read very soon. Next we have A Girl is a Half-Formed Thing. You Will Not Have My Hate. This I just found in my wardrobe and I completely forgot I owned it. It says, there are only 2 of us, my son and myself, but we are stronger than all the armies of the world. I actually really want to read this very, very soon. I don't know why I haven't yet. This is an arc that I was recently sent. This is called Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. I don't think this is even out till April 2023. Not gonna lie, really don't like that cover, but we'll see. Speaking of which, I was also sent this one. This is called Raise Your Voice, and it's from a variety of names from the BBC. We then have this one, Blood Will Be Born. I honestly am not sure why I own this, because it doesn't look like something I would read. Then, oh hell, this is a brick. Henry Fielding's Tom Jones. This was ambitious of me to buy because I don't like long books. It's got good floppage though. We then have The Secret Life of Bees. I feel like I've ranted about this book so many times because I really want to read it, but I hate this cover. And I know that we shouldn't judge books by their covers, but like, that's put me off. I just think if you've got a book called The Secret Life of Bees, you could do so much better than that. So anyway, that's why it's been sitting here unread. I'm a simple boy. Anyway, oh, this one's called Just a Boy. A Passage to India by E.M. Forster, a bit of a classic that I have not yet read. The Other Side of the Fire by Alice Thomas Ellis, and also How to Become Ridiculously Well Read in One Evening. I was sent these as part of like a mystery box, which was one of my first second channel videos, so I still have them and I still haven't read them. Salman Rushdie, Haroon and the Sea of Stories. Ravity's Rainbow. I spoke about this in my video on Lisa Simpson's, books that we see Lisa Simpson reading in The Simpsons, which by the way, I think might be my magnum opus. I think that was one of my favourite videos I've ever made. And in that video I was talking about how I don't believe that anyone has actually read this book because look at it, and I've never heard anyone talk about it. So yeah, that's Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. Next we have Open Ground by Seamus Heaney. Now I have read some of his poetry, in fact. Why is this from a library? Did I steal this? Oh no, it's from Staffordshire University, so I must have bought this secondhand. Seamus Heaney, Open Ground. Yeah, I don't think I've actually read like the whole thing cover to cover, which is why it's still on my unread TBR. Samuel Johnson, The Major Works. This is something I have to get around to at some point, I absolutely will, but hasn't happened yet. Okay, that's pile 1. This is good progress. The Fortune Men, I started reading this and gave up halfway through. So I will finish it at some point. When You Call My Name by Tucker Shaw. Heard amazing things, so I will get around to this, for sure. Oh, for sure, for Tucker Shaw, for sure. Okay, we tried. That was almost a well-executed joke, almost. Department of Speculation by Jenny Offel. Hopefully that's not awful. Okay, let's stop doing that. Ordinary People by Diana Evans. I remember buying this in a charity shop because it just gave me normal people vibes, but haven't got around to it yet. William Boyd's Restless. I bought this because I was going to do a video on the Royal Family's book club and then decided against it because Team Meghan. Okay, anyway, this is The Glass Paris by Amitav Ghosh. Definitely will get around to this at some point too. Gone with the Wind. Holy moly, what a horrible book cover that is. I had to study this for my degree. Best believe I just went to the lecture, saw the length of the book and said, no way. Because we had to read like 5 books a week for my degree, and if there was some I was going to skip, trust me, it was going to be one like this. Then we have Alone in Berlin by Hans Falada. I remember buying this and being desperate to read it, so I'm really not sure why I haven't done that yet. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a book that I feel I should have read, and I'm embarrassed to say that I haven't. Speaking of which, My Enemy Charles Dickens. This is David Copperfield. Will I ever read this? No. Do I still own a copy of it? Oh, yes. Yes, I do. I feel like I went through a stage where I was in denial about my hatred for this man. I just kept thinking, one day I'll read a Charles Dickens book that I really enjoy that isn't A Christmas Carol. And it just hasn't happened yet, aside from A Christmas Carol. So I still have this. It might end up in a charity shop, I'm not gonna lie. But you know, that's probably where I bought it too, so it will come full circle. And charity wins out of that situation, so it's fine. 18th century women dramatists. You know, I put that in unread, but I definitely have read some of these. So, no, I haven't read all of them, so it's still unread, technically. Kathleen and Frank by Christopher Isherwood. Now, I wrote my university dissertation on Christopher Isherwood, and I read every single one of his books, aside from this one. So for the sake of, like, completing a task, I probably should get around to reading this at some point, but it's about his parents, and I don't care. Henry James, The Ambassadors. I bought this because I went to an open day at the University of Cambridge and it was like the worst experience ever because the introduction to the course lecture that I went to was so weirdly snobby. Obviously, I think that at that point, people don't realise that what you do on an open day will not have any impact on you getting into the university. Like, everyone is just trying to impress. So the professor basically did this talk where he was like, you need to have read elevated books. Which, like, what does that even mean? Like, that is intellectual snobbery at its absolute peak. Like, talking about elevated text, like what even is that? And he didn't provide any examples, so then people started putting up their hand. And basically, this girl was like, I've read loads of Henry James and I was just wondering if that counts as elevated text. And the lecturer was like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely, Henry James counts as elevated text. And then she's like, oh yeah, well, I love The Ambassadors. So I bought The Ambassadors and I've never read it, so there you go. I also didn't apply to the University of Cambridge, so that may... Oh, I've read this. This is The Crying of Lot 49. Put that on the red pile. I didn't enjoy it, but I did read it. Oh, these are some books that I was sent recently, so, and I've made a video very recently talking about them, so I'll fly through these. Firstly, we have The Death on Gokumon Island. These are all from my absolute faves, Charco Press. We have The Forgery, Resistance, Here Be Icebergs, Never Did the Fire, Fish Soup, The Adventure of China Iron, Salt Crystals, A Musical Offering, Homesick, and Die My Love. I am going to read as many of these as possible at some point because I love Charco Press, I love what they do, I love that they champion a lot of Central and South American literature, and they're a really cool publishing house based in Edinburgh. Then we have this, When We Cease to Understand the World. Now, this is another book that I got 44 pages into and then gave up. I was reading this while I was on holiday, and not gonna lie, it's just not a holiday read. So you know, I'm definitely a mood reader, and it wasn't the right mood, so I just put it to one side rather than, I wouldn't call it a DNF. I would say that it's like, to be continued, let's say. Then we have The Discomfort of Evening. I originally bought this for my reading books in translation video, but then decided to focus on other things. So yeah, still intrigued to read this. I remember being excited by it when I first heard about it, and then when it got to actually reading it, I just was like, I don't wanna. So hopefully someday. This is Penguin Bingeable Box Set. This is screaming to me, freebie. This is screaming to me, I got this in a goodie bag at some point and haven't got rid of it yet. This is a book called Eats, Shoots and Leaves, The Zero Tolerance Approach to Punctuation. I remember one of my friends bought this for me because I lent him like a very small amount of money and he kept trying to give it back to me and I was like, don't worry about it, it doesn't matter. And then he decided that he would go to a charity shop and spend that amount of money on a book for me and gave it to me. Because I wouldn't accept the cash. So anyway, this is why I now own Eats, Shoots and Leaves, The Zero Tolerance Approach to Punctuation. Thomas Hardy, Far From the Madding Crowd. I started listening to this as an audiobook recently, so this will be read at some point very soon. Murakami, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicles, one of the few Murakami books that I haven't yet got round to. The only one that I physically own that I haven't yet read, so that will be read very soon. In fact, I am thinking of doing a second Harry Styles reading recommendations video, and so if I do, that should make an appearance. Next we have Her. What is this? Oh, like a newspaper article about the book. Okay, sure. Well, I'll use that as a bookmark, fine. I was watching the TV show of this book, and then I didn't have Wi-Fi for a while, and so I decided to order the book, and I was like, fine, instead of finishing the TV show, I'll finish the book. And then I saw how big it is, and I thought, never mind, I'll just wait until I have Wi-Fi. Because I was actually enjoying the show, but I never have actually finished that, so I should get around to it. And next we have Papillon, one of the best French words ever. American Dirt, which is a book that I bought last minute on a whim, didn't know anything about it, just read the blurb and thought, that sounds interesting. And then I shared it on YouTube and everyone was like, that book is so problematic, don't read it. So, I haven't. There you go. Next we have this one. This is called The Orphanage, a novel. Snowflower and the Secret Fan. Come Back to Me, Then Go Away. Cool book title, I like that. One of the Boys. Brilliant, urgent, darkly funny, heartbreaking. I remember buying this. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, especially because it's so short. I should read that. And you'll find out what I am going to read very soon in the next video. That's right, get that self-promo. Then we have Moondust and Elinda Baton's Essays in Love. Now, I did not like his other book, which is called something about love. What is it called? I'm sure it's in that pile right there. I don't know what it's called, I can't remember. But I read it for my last Harry Styles video that I did, and I really didn't like it, and so I bought his essays, because I thought that maybe I would prefer those than like a kind of novel, but obviously didn't care enough to actually find out. Not yet anyway. Then we have, which way around does this go? Tomorrow I'll Be 20. The Poppy War, which I know is very popular here on Book Talk, BookTube. Why did I forget where I was? The Bad Girl. My Enemy, again. Charles Dickens, The Pickwick Papers. When I was at school, we had to respond to like unseen texts, and there was a section from The Pickwick Papers which I wrote an essay on as like an unseen extract, and I got full marks on it. And for some reason, I was like, that means I'm gonna love Charles Dickens and I'm gonna love The Pickwick Papers. So I bought it, and it's on the unread pile. Then we have The Rosie Project. I actually saw this on Olivia Rodrigo's Instagram story yesterday, which is interesting. So I've had this for a long time. I should get around to reading it. Fighting on the Home Front, The Legacy of Women in World War I. I don't remember ever buying this, but I own it. Then, well, here's two books I definitely just bought for the aesthetic. The Fall of the House of Usher and Other Stories by Edgar Allan Poe. And then also Vanity Fair. Not gonna lie, the front covers aren't nice, but the spines, stunning. Those were definitely used decoratively when I was younger. I think I remember doing that. Anne of Green Gables, should definitely read at some point, that's a classic. On the Road by Jack Kerouac is another classic that I still can't believe I have never read, and it's not even long. I need to get around to that. See, this is why this exercise is pretty good, because it is forcing me to confront all of the books that I want to read, I feel like I should have read, but I haven't. The Canterbury Tales, I avoided Chaucer like the plague during my degree. In fact, I chose every possible module that didn't involve Chaucer. Just not for me, babes, not for me. We then have Lady Chatterley's Lover. Have read Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence, but not this one. Then these are two of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy sequels. When I bought them, they came as like a collection of 6, and I really just wanted to read the first one. But what's cool is that all of the covers actually sort of match up like this. However, you would never display them like that. So it's a cool idea, and I'm never gonna read those. I enjoyed the first Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for sure. I'm not gonna read those other ones. We then have Casino Royale by Ian Fleming, the books that James Bond was based on. I'd like to read this actually, which is probably why I bought it. Then we have The Empty Space by Peter Brooke. A brilliant book, should be read by many, besides the passionate few to whom it will be required reading. Wait, is it a play or a... No, it's a novel. Okay, cool. By the way, if you see any here that you think I need to read ASAP Rocky, let me know, and I absolutely will. Next we have Killing in Your Name. Again, this does not look like something I would buy for myself. This must have been sent to me, which I'm very grateful for, but I will probably pass this on to someone who already appreciates it. Lucky Breaks. Here's another one that I got. Do you know what? It seems to be a recurring theme. On this one I got to the 55-page mark and didn't finish it. I, again, was reading this on holiday and it wasn't the vibe, and so I skipped to another book that I thought I would enjoy more at that specific moment in time. This is O. William by Elizabeth Strout. I'm pretty sure this just got shortlisted for the Booker Prize. I think it's part of a series though, because I was excited to read it, and then someone told me there's like, I think the same character is present in lots of different books. I'm not sure if you have to read them in order, so I should do some research and find out. But yeah, that's O. William. Under the Net by Iris Murdoch. This is a book that I studied for my degree, but didn't actually read, and I kept, like, it was on my top of my TBR for so long, and still I just never got around to it. Because I remember going to the lecture and thinking, that sounds so interesting. So yeah, I will read this for sure. Have you noticed how many times I've said that? Because this is still quite a big pile. That's the fun of the circus, right? That's why we collect books, so that we read them at a time when we'll really enjoy them. Next one is Wise Blood, another book that I went to a lecture for during my degree, but didn't read. Same with Lucky Jim. This is the thing, right? It was just unsustainable to even expect that you'd be able to read all of the books that we went to lectures on. So by a certain point in the year, I would kind of like go to the lecture and then decide whether to read the book. afterwards, but sometimes things sort of slip the net. And those three are good examples of that because I thought they all sounded good. You know, I think I studied these right at the end of the year and I'd already sort of decided what books I was going to write my exams on and my essays on. So I was always like, yeah, I'll read those at some point, but not now. And like however many years later, still haven't done it. We have Zadie Smith on beauty. Oh, some Sir Thomas Malory. Now I have read most of this, so actually I think that really goes on the red pile. We then have the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Not gonna lie to you, I watched the film and that was enough. James Joyce Ulysses. This is one I attempted, but the less said about this, the better, I think. One day I will read and understand Ulysses, but that day has not yet come. Oh, see, I keep finding ones that I have actually read that need to be in that pile, not this one. These were books that I was sent very recently. Launch Something and The Age of Doubt. Really excited about both of those. Fake Accounts by Lauren Euler. Now, this is a book that, again, I've spoken about on here because I was excited to read it, and then I saw a string of negative reviews, mostly just people saying it was underwhelming, and so I think that's why it's been like a lower priority, but I would like to read it. Oh, there we go, another Douglas Adams book that won't be read. This one here is The Stranger. However, I ordered The Stranger by Albert Camus, and I was sent this instead, somehow. So that was actually my BTS video, if any of you remember that, if any of you are OGs. Oh, this one's another mishap. The Kite Rider. Meant to order The Kite Runner, but I ended up with this. The Dictionary of Lost Words. My grandmother gave this to me and really highly recommended it, so excited about that one. Oh, this is an ARC, but it doesn't come out until January 2023, so I desperately want to read this, but I'm sort of saving it for closer to the time, because I just feel like I can't give you a proper review and get you excited about a book that isn't out yet. So when I do get sent ARCs, I always read them like maybe 1 or 2 weeks before actual publication. So I'll probably read this around Christmas. This is really good, actually. Okay, we're getting there. We're not really. This is the Jane Austen Society. Anatomy of a Scandal. I went to the premiere of the Netflix show version of this, and they gave me this book. Okay, maybe let's drag this towards me. White Teeth, I feel, is essential reading at some point. I just haven't got around to it yet. Meditation and Mindfulness. I don't want help. Then we have The Bees. I remember being so excited about this when I was younger. You can tell by how faded the spine is that I bought this a long time ago. I remember buying this like when I was young and kind of wanting to get into reading more. But here it is on the unread pile. Nick Hornby, A Long Way Down. That's a charity shop find. Kazuo Ishiguro's Nocturnes. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Christ Stopped at Eberly. The Hate You Give. Sorry, I haven't read this yet. I absolutely will at some point. It's on the list for sure. Catch-22, I read up to page 324 out of 510. I read it for my EPQ when I was in year 13? I think I was like 17 or 18. And I remember getting to a certain point in the book and being like, this actually isn't helpful for the research that I'm doing. And so I stopped. Peter Ackroyd by T.S. Eliot. So nearly did my university dissertation on T.S. Eliot. So nearly. It was actually my initial disproposal, but then I changed last minute to Christopher Isherwood. D.H. Lawrence, Women in Love. Not sure what happened just there. London Assurance and Other Victorian Comedies. I read some of the comedies in here, but not all. Like, I'm pretty sure I read London Assurance, but not the other comedies. So maybe I've been a little bit harsh on myself with what I put in this pile for some of them. Then we have Being an Adult, the ultimate guide to moving out, getting a job, and getting your act together. Again, I don't want help. Let me just be a disappointment in peace. Anyway, this is The Journals of Sylvia Plath. I've dipped in and out of this, but haven't read it cover to cover. This was a birthday gift from a wonderful friend of mine. Then we also have Jane Austen's letters. Again, I've dipped in and out, but one day we'll actually sit down with it and read it thoroughly. Concerning my daughter, this was a recent purchase. I can't help but be moved by a story about women meeting, fighting, helping each other, looking after one another, and raising their voices against the prejudice and criticism they are subjected to. Sounds great. Down and Out in London and Paris. One of my best friends is a huge George Orwell fan and has been working his way slowly through all of George Orwell's books, and thought I would really like this one. And he also bought it for me as a gift when he came to visit me in Paris. So, yeah, thanks, Will. Then we have Detransition Baby, a book that every time I do a TBR video, I'm always like, I want to read this book so bad, and I still haven't. I don't know why, I've been putting it off, but I recently read the transgender issue by Sean Fay, which I thought was so interesting, and that's made me really want to read this book too, so I will be reading it. Then we have The Maidens. Oh, this is by the same author as The Silent Patient, I didn't realise that. Dark Academia vibes, I think. I might do a second Dark Academia video at some point, so I'll save it for then. And maybe I'll wear this university hoodie of a uni I didn't go to. Maybe in a parallel life, there's someone sitting in Colorado wearing a University of Durham hoodie, even though they didn't go there. I'd like to think so. Maybe they're unhauling a bunch of books too. Who knows? This book is so special to me. I did a TV appearance and the other guest was Cressida Cowell, who wrote the How to Train Your Dragon books. Just such an icon, such a legend. And she gave me this book, which is an arc of her new release. And look, she drew me a little picture inside and signed it. I love Cressida Cowell with my whole heart. Just the nicest woman ever. But she was really, really cool. Then we have this book that I was recently sent. This is What We Want, A Journey Through 12 of Our Deepest Desires. I think this will actually be really helpful for writing my own novel, because it's like non-fiction and it's sort of an analysis of desire, and I thought that might be quite interesting for writing characters. Then we have two books that were sent to me from Book of the Month. We have The Book of Night, which I've heard so many great things about, and then also Darling Girl. Okay, 3 more piles. That was so close. Oh my god, it's tipping. What do I do? I didn't plan for this. I don't know what you're capable of. Okay, we're gonna be so careful here. Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. I'm actually reading this at the moment. I think I definitely just perched it on the top there, just out of convenience. This one, can you see how delicately I'm picking these up now? Perpetrators, Victims, Bystanders. I read this. I don't know myself sometimes. I read that during my history A-level coursework. I also read this. Okay, these two were definitely put on the wrong pile. Theory Tests and the Highway Code. I think I put these, I put these on this pile because even though I've read them, I'm gonna get rid of them because I don't need them anymore. Especially not the theory test because I passed it and I don't drive. So there's literally no reason for me to have that. And then we have Herman Hesse, The Glass Bead Game. The Names They Gave Us. Ready Player One. I was so convinced I was gonna read this when I bought it. And here we are. The Sympathizer. Definitely want to get around to this one. Definitely. Forgotten Voices of the Great War. Why do I have so many random war books? They must have been given to me. Anyway, Charles Dickens. Leave me alone. Stop terrorizing me. This is Oliver Twist. Whatever. 5 Rivers Met on a Wooded Plain. I remember buying this when I was like quite young. I think I was like 15, 16 and being like, this is so clever. Everyone's gonna think I'm so intelligent when they see me reading this. And I never did. Which is probably why no one thinks I'm intelligent. Tessa Hadley, The Past. There it is. Oh, buy one, get one half price. I wonder what the other one was. Small Island by Andrea Levy. I think there's a play of that on the West End. I'd like to see that. Don Quixote. I was planning on doing a video on Joe from You, but then a lot of other people kind of got there first, and so I never did that video. Also, all the books he recommended were long as hell. So, I'm speaking about him like he's a real person, he's literally, thankfully, a fictional character. Maybe when the next season of You comes out. I sort of missed the boat with the last one. It was when I just moved to Paris, so I was kind of a bit all over the place. Anyway, Monica Ali, Brick Lane. Saw her talk at Hay Festival, and she's the most brilliant public speaker. I really enjoyed watching her be interviewed on the stage. And this was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize. Cool. The Evening of Evening Mist. Oh, no, The Garden of Evening Mists. Reading is supposed to be my forte. John Banville, Snow. That doesn't look like something I want to read. Moving on, we then have The Little Paris Bookshop. I do want to read that. Similarly, If We Were Villains. Recently, I was in Montenegro and Croatia with my friend Dakota, and she read this book and she enjoyed it. So I will be getting around to that because I do trust her taste. And a lot of you guys have recommended that to me too, so I will be reading that at some point. And maybe, I do need to do another Dark Academia video. Also, the last Dark Academia video I did was one of my favourites to film ever, and I just got to dress up and have loads of fun. So, yeah, gonna do a part 2 to that for sure. This has confirmed it in my head. Dominicana has been high on my TBR for a while now. Perhaps it should be higher. We Have Always Lived in the Castle. The View was exhausting. This gives me Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo vibes. I might take this on holiday with me. I'm going to Cyprus next week. That might come with me. Then we have The Power. Again, haven't heard great reviews for that one. I've had it a long time. Burmese Days by George Orwell. Factfulness. I know that my friend Lena really recommends this book. I think that's why I bought it actually, so yes. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Might be featuring in a video very soon. Are you watching Vincent Ralph? No, I don't think I am. Never Ask the Dead. Why do I own so many books that look exactly the same from this man, Gary Donnelly? Soon, my local charity shop might be owning quite a few books by Gary Donnelly. But who knows, maybe there's a Gary Donnelly fan in my local area. They're gonna be buzzing their tits off when they walk into that shop. Okay, hopefully we have more success with this pile because the last one was teetering. Okay, we have The Old Wives' Tale, a portrait of the artist as a young man by James Joyce. I'm scared of Joyce, as you can probably tell. Then we have The Karamazov Brothers. Again, I used this for my Lisa Simpson video. I said in that video that I hadn't read them, by the way. Like, I wasn't lying. Then we have Breasts and Eggs. I loved Heaven by Kawakami, so I'm excited for this. Fatherland, What If Hitler Had Won? Well, that's this video demonetized. Cheers, Robert Harris. Then we have John Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath. Loved East of Eden, so I will be reading that. Desperate Characters by Paula Fox. That's very short. Do Not Say We Have Nothing. I have meant to read this for so long. The problem is, obviously, things kind of get lost on a bookshelf, and so you forget like what you've actually got and you start moving on to other things. But this is quite a good exercise for me because it's reminding me of all the books that I really, really want to read at some point. The Count of Monte Cristo recently went to the place this was written, to his like chateau. It's just outside of Paris, and it's so beautiful and also really quiet. It's a little complicated to get to, but it was really worth the trip. I really liked it, and we were pretty much the only ones there. Then we have Beasts of Prey, Stephen King, The Shining. Should read that. Yoke, another one I have been saying I'm going to read for the longest time. Salt Lick was sent to me by the Women's Prize this year. A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you saw the video where I spoke about how I'm never going to read that or The Cruel Prince, no you didn't. The Time Traveller's Wife. Lots of people say that book's very, very sad. Severance by Ling Ma. I've heard amazing things about that one. Beach Read by Emily Henry, TikTok's absolute favourite. Their Eyes Were Watching God. I bought this for my Timothée Chalamet video, but just didn't have enough time to actually read this one. But I have a feeling I'm gonna really like this. This is either Care Less or Careless. I don't know, but I do care. I want to read this. This was also sent to me by the Women's Prize this year. Family of Liars. This is the follow-up to We Were Liars. Still Life. I've heard a lot about this. This is quite a recent release. And Build Your House Around My Body. Absolutely, that is a corker of a title. And then the final pile. That wasn't a good sound, nor was that. Okay, firstly we have this book, Orlam, I think is how you say that, by PJ Harvey. I was given this at Hay Festival. I think it's a poetry collection. We have another copy of A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. This was given to me by my friend Reese, who loves James Joyce. I'm definitely going to get rid of my other copy because this one is beautiful. This I'm keeping forever and ever, and I will be reading it. Violets, which was translated by Anton Haar, who I love. We Are All Birds of Uganda. I remember buying this because it was the first book that Stormzy's publishing house published, Murky Books, and I thought that sounded really interesting and I wanted to support that endeavour because I thought it was a really cool initiative. Memorial by Brian Washington, another book I absolutely need to read immediately. This might become a priority. Black British Lives Matter. I bought this at Hay Festival after hearing Lenny Henry speak on it, and he was just so inspiring. It's actually signed by him too. And I've read quite a lot of books similar to this, but most of them are very kind of America-centric, and so I thought it would be very important for me as a British person to read specifically about the history of race in the UK. Then we have The Exhibitionist. This was in Paris with me for so long. I had it on my very small TBR in Paris and I still never got around to it. So something about it just doesn't tickle my pickle. Black Butterflies, love this cover by the way. Vagabonds, this was shortlisted for the Waterstones like New Fiction Prize. It didn't win, but it was on the shortlist, and I remember thinking this sounded so fascinating. Carmilla, this was another one of Dakota's recommendations. One of the few that I haven't yet got round to, but I will. This inspired Dracula. Lauren John Joseph's At Certain Points We Touch. I actually met a friend of the author in Paris who bought this for me. And then we have some Book of the Month books. The Hacienda, Take My Hand, Part of Your World, Breathless, The Golden Couple, Running Out of Hand Space, Peach Blossom Spring, oh lord, okay, A River Enchanted, and Don't Cry For Me. Oh, this is a book that I thought I was going to read for my most recommended books by YouTubers, by booktubers video, because I was doing this like ongoing tally where I was checking like what books were being most frequently recommended, and this was winning for a while. Then all of a sudden all the other books sort of overtook it, and I'd already bought it. So maybe at some point. Maybe at some point. This, I've seen a few TikToks recently saying this is brilliant. Crossroads. The Paper Palace, Flamingo, and finally, last but not least, Creatures of Passage. So that is my entire unread TBR. That's quite a lot of books. I've noticed. I don't know if you spotted that. So stay tuned for the next two videos where I'll be showing you which books I'm unhauling and which books I'm prioritising ASAP. Let me know which ones you really highly recommend, which ones you think I absolutely need to read as soon as I possibly can, and also which ones to avoid at all costs. I'm gonna have to put them all back on here. But thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. All the best, stay in touch, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye!